All right, everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Game Changers show. My name is Mike McKay, your host, based in the Jacksonville, Florida market. For anyone in the Jacksonville market, if you need help on anything, feel free to shoot me a DM. And we are still actively buying deals in the Jacksonville market. I know a lot of people have changed their philosophy on that, but we are still actively buying. So if you have any deals, feel free to reach out to us. Each and every week, we host this show and we talk to people who are changing the game of real estate all over the country. And this week, this is a live show, guys, so please make sure you write any comments or questions for our guests to answer. This week, we have Keith Sant. Keith, welcome to the show, man.
What up, Mike? Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah,
Thanks.
for sure, man. So for people who don't know you, I think it might be helpful if you kind of just told us your story. How did you get into the real estate business?
Oh man, back in 2017, I was up. I lived in Washington, and I had a buddy down in South Texas flipping some houses and whatnot. And I'd always wanted to kind of get into it. And I invested in like a deal with them, and got a good little ROI. Invested on another one, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like I could do this full time, and I just started learning everything I could, and then I found this thing called wholesaling. And I'm like, Beto, like this is amazing. Like we don't have to hire contractors or hard money loans or deal with any of that. Like this is cool. And he's like, yeah, I tried it. It didn't really work. And I'm like, well, you're good at sales. Let me try some marketing. And so I did,
Mm,
and just been full time wholesaling and buying and ever since. So
cool. When was that you got started? Like what year?
that was 2017.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then, so you got started. So you start sourcing your own deals. What was your? I know we've obviously changed your approach over the years, and we'll talk a lot about this on the show. But what was your first approach to sourcing your own deals?
Oh my gosh. Like literally the first deal we got was literally from like a Craigslist ad. I was posting Craigslist ads like every morning and yeah. But
Okay.
bandit signs worked really good. Craigslist ads. Got a website, started doing some, just posting it everywhere I could to get some traffic to it and get some leads and that was about it.
And then I think at one point you had mentioned you were doing a lot of outbound marketing. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. After like so I started in Texas from my house up in Washington and I did that for about a year and I started getting really good, getting our phone ringing pretty heavily. And my partner down here, he just bought 40 acres, was developing in like 150 lots, bought his like second mobile home park, and I'm getting our phone ringing, and sending him on appointments, and he's missing them because he's busy doing other things. I kind of like hit a ceiling at what I could do there. And that's when I like
Mm,
started my own company up in Washington, Kind House Buyers. Like that's what everyone knows me as, like Kind House Buyer. And yeah, I was, bandit signs, same kind of stuff, Craigslist, and I did well over a million, text messages. Well, more than just messages, but out to over a million people. Ringless voicemails, text messages, cold calling, all of that stuff. And it was a grind, right? Like it was cheap,
mhm,
but I'd have to talk to like 35 sellers that might raise their hand and say I'd consider a cash offer before, I'd actually get one that would want to make a deal with me. And so that's like, at least 15 offers, 10 appointments, a ton of follow up. And it was just a grind. So like I was making money, but my quality of life wasn't that great. And
sure.
um, I, I love the idea of getting inbound leads, people, reaching out to me because they needed help, not me convincing people why they should
Mm,
sell me their house at a discount.
mm,
And so I just dug in really hard on like the SEO front, trying to get to the top of Google. I did that for quite a while. I did a ton of things wrong, figured it out. It was about 2 years ago when I was able to turn off my Google Ads. It was January 2021, so yeah, like
mhm.
2 years ago to like to this day that I turned off my pay per click, and like all my leads now are just organic and like $5 a day on Facebook retargeting. So It's like my
Yeah.
whole ad spend, closing anywhere from like 3 to 10 deals a month. So.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And maybe if you could elaborate more on, uh, I think some people may not realize if they've only done outbound marketing that not all leads are created equal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when you're reaching out to people and asking them if they want to sell their house, like they hadn't even really thought about it yet, right? And now or maybe they had, and you just get lucky and you hit them right at the right time. But you're talking about reaching out to thousands of people before you get that one at the just perfect time, right?
Hmm.
Like all the stars align. But there's, in my opinion, there's no hotter lead than a Google lead. When someone goes to Google and they're physically typing in, like, how do I sell my house in divorce, or who buys houses for cash near me, like, they are ready to go. Like,
Hmm.
there's other inbound leads that are still inbound, like let's just say Facebook lead, but they're still not as hot. Like they could just be like sitting on their toilet scrolling and they're like, oh, I might accept a cash offer on their house. It's not like they need you at that moment. And so the motivation isn't, quite as there. And so you're gonna have to talk to more of those people to get that deal. Which means more
Yeah.
follow-up, more offers, more, if you're trying to close multiple deals a month, that means more people on your team, more callers, more acquisitions, just all that stuff. And so I just try to keep everything as like lean as possible.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I just didn't want to get caught. I thought a recession was coming, right before COVID, right? And then
Hmm.
so I was for sure. I just wanted to always stay lean and not risk it. And I'm glad I did.
So if your outbound stuff was like 35 leads to like maybe one deal, right? What are you typically seeing on your organic SEO in terms of conversion
For me,
from
1 in
leads?
12. I mean, there's better
Wow,
closers out there that could close a little better than me, but I know guys that are doing like 1 in 10, but for me, it's like 1 in 12.
gotcha. And I think sometimes one thing that comes up with people, or at least runs through my mind, is yeah, they're Googling, right? But they're probably going through filling out quite a few forms. So there might be some competition there. Do you have any strategies around that? Or maybe that's just a limiting belief that I have?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have multiple websites, so a lot of times I'll get the form filled twice. They think they're getting two different offers. I have
Right.
other strategy. One thing that I really like to do on my website is after they fill out the form,
Mhm.
and most people their little thank you page is like, "Hey, thank you so much. Someone's going to reach out to you in 24 hours." So if I'm a seller and I just fill that out, I'm like, "Okay, what am I going to do now?" Well, let's go to the next website. But mine is like, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. Someone's going to reach out to you to book a cash offer appointment, or click this button here to book your own appointment." And so I get them to book their own appointment, which is awesome
Mm.
because it cuts out a phone call for me. And it's literally, it's been amazing, especially for the
Wow.
leads that come in after hours, like 9 p.m. or something. I'm not going to call them, even if it's super hot, but they could book like, I've had people book their appointment at 9 p.m. for a 9 a.m. appointment. It was like hot and herited, and I got the deal the next day.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so it stops them from jumping to other pages. I've once I started doing that, I was not competing with other, with other offers as much. And
Mhm.
also again, it was just freeing up my time. My journey has always been about like freeing up my time. How do I make the same amount of money without working 100-hour weeks?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting, letting them book their own appointment so they feel like they've kind of got it taken care of almost,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, that's what they're reaching out for at that point. If they're ready to reach out and they're ready to book an appointment, that's a sign of motivation. And then once they book that appointment, even if it's like a retail lead, right? Like if they say they want Zillow value, and how they bought it last year, they have no equity, they don't need to sell it, they're just looking to downsize or upgrade in town. Like they're not going to do a sub two or anything like that. Like I'll just send it to an agent, have the agent go on the appointment, and then flip it to a retail, and then I'll get a 30% of their listing fee. So
Right. Without
yeah,
you ever having a conversation
yeah,
on the phone. So yeah, it's amazing. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And for
So, um, so it's obviously been like, a journey to figure
mhm.
out this SEO stuff, right? I mean, it's not easy. I think a lot of people have tried, a lot of people might have failed. Um, Obviously, there's a ton of strategies, but maybe if you want to share a few that you have found to be the most effective, or maybe if someone's thinking about kind of starting it, what should they look at first?
For just search engine optimization in general, I mean, it is pretty easy. I did enough things wrong to know what to do right because like I teach it for free in my Facebook group. I got a Facebook group with my buddy Andy.
Right.
Boom.
So Keith, we got a little technical issue there, but you were talking about your Facebook group where you teach people for free how to do SEO. It's actually not as complicated from what you were saying as people make it out to be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some, minimal parts to what you want to do like on your website to like
Hmm.
optimize it. Once it's optimized though, like it's done. You don't really got to play with it much. Like
Hmm.
and when I mean optimize, like Google has bots that crawl pages and they decide what your page is about, and they want to put the best and the most complete answer in front of a searcher as fast as possible. So if you just do some little tweaks to your page to show Google that yours is the best and the most complete answer and check those boxes, like that's half SEO. And then the other half is this stuff called off page.
Hmm.
And basically they're backlinks. And if you don't know what a backlink are, it is like a backlink is basically when your website is linked to another website, like another website mentions you. Um, and it sounds stupid, like why the heck would that have anything to do with how high you rank on Google? But Google wants to put like credible, real companies to the top, not just like fly by night websites that know how to over optimize stuff. And
Hmm.
so they call backlinks are like a vote of confidence. The more other websites link to your website, like it must be a legit company because other
Hmm.
websites aren't going to link to scammy, crappy, fake companies. And so the name of the game is optimize your page better than the guy next to you and get more/better backlinks. Not more, but better backlinks than the guy next to you, and you win. It's a math problem.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on better backlinks? As I know people talk about quality of backlinks, and I think a lot of the listeners may not know, or frankly, I don't fully know what that is. So could you share a little bit more about better backlinks?
Yeah, really, there's a lot of things that go into backlinks. One of the biggest things though is power and
Mhm.
like how it's going to power your site. If you go off on, don't go to Fiverr and go get a ton of backlinks. They're going to be crap. They're going to be garbage. Um, but the biggest thing is like subdomains, right? Like subdomains aren't going to power your website. Like if you get like cash for houses company.blogspot.com, like anything .com
Mhm.
is a subdomain. They're not going to pass power.
Mhm.
And so like it's not really going to power up your website. Like you could get all of them that you want, you get 1,000 of them, but they're not really going to power your website. And
Okay.
then the other thing to really look for is like how far away are you from the homepage? The farther you get away from the homepage, the less power you are. So if you're on like, realestategamechangershow.com dash cash for houses dash blog dash January dash 2023 dash, you're like 7 steps away from the homepage, it gets less and less powerful. So if you want a powerful backlink, you want it close to the homepage and you don't want it on a subdomain. And a lot of the other stuff, like we don't really pay attention to. I mean, there's
Mm.
other things. There's a lot that goes into it, but those are the two things that we really care about is power, and those are gonna basically tell you if it's a good or a decent backlink or not.
And then how do people go about getting these backlinks from other websites?
I mean, it could be a grind. You either like you could do manual outreach where you're emailing people. Google's whole idea is if people like your content, they're going to naturally link to you,
Mhm.
right? And so obviously writing and having good content is going to get people to naturally link to you, but that could take time and it's also a grind. And you guys are real estate investors trying to buy houses, not blog writers and content experts. And so it's really hard to do that on scale unless you have. And so But manual outreach, you can do like ask for links. You can say, hey, I'll write a piece of content for you. In exchange, let me put a link on your site.
Mm,
You can, pay for links. There's all kinds of things to do. But
okay.
yeah.
And then how important is, I've heard people talk a lot about, blog posts and all that. Like, how important is it to have that content constantly posted on your site?
Um, I found that it's not really that important at all. Like at all.
Mm,
Like not like at all at all. Like it's definitely valuable to have some blog content, but most of the pages that you want on any real estate investor site for motivated sellers are like city landing pages or location pages, and they're going to cover like the main most motivated keywords. And
mm,
so, everyone goes after sell my house fast, we buy houses, and then cash for houses, cash for my house, company that buys houses, buy my house is a really good one. Like there's no one more motivated than someone that googles who will buy my house, but no
right.
one, but like people don't even go after it. So it's high value, low competition. It's not high volume, but again, there's no one more motivated than someone that googles who will buy my house. Like they're desperate and ready to
Yeah.
go. And so there's all kinds of different keywords, and then those ones are going to convert at a really high rate, right?
Hmm.
Like people that are actually going there. But if you do blog content like how do you sell your house in divorce in Florida, um, a lot of that's just because someone Googles that and they're looking, it doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to sell their house in divorce
Hmm.
at that moment. They could, be researching for 6 months from now. They could just be curious. They could be researching for a friend or family member. And so the click to lead ratio is a lot higher than if you're doing that more your city landing page content, basically like the high
Yeah.
value motivated seller keywords. So after you
Yeah.
publish a few of those posts, though, like a divorce, probate, foreclosure, foundation issues, maybe flooding or something, mold, where you guys are at, like after that, you don't really need any more content. I don't want to
Mm,
publish more pages just for the sake of pages, like, you
mm,
know, who pays closing costs when selling a house in Florida? Like, that's not a motivated seller keyword. And the more pages I post on my website, the more backlinks I need to power that website. And no one wants to go and work harder or buy more backlinks than they have to. Because a backlink has a finite
mm,
amount of juice that powers your site. So the more
okay.
pages, so it's all about having a lean machine. Every page has a purpose, and you don't have any extra pages that are not necessary.
I didn't realize that. So if you have more pages on your site and more blog posts, you actually need more backlinks in order to read to rank.
Yes, and another issue with having a lot of blog posts, like just for the sake of writing, is you'll run into content issues like cannibalization. And for instance, if you have multiple articles about selling a house and divorce, and they're just slightly different, Google will get like confused, not know which one is the most important, or neither of them are going to rank as high as they could if
Yeah.
they're competing against each other.
Hmm.
And there's only so many things you could talk about when it's selling a house and divorce in Florida. So like
Yeah.
making 6 posts about that doesn't make sense. Like just make one really good one.
Yeah. What's your opinion on, a couple of years ago, I had some conversations with some people doing SEO in different industries, and they talked a lot about having like these really long, in-depth posts as being a good idea. Is that still a good idea, or has that changed as well?
I'm a big fan of that in our industry. Again, instead of doing like 3 or 4 posts about divorce, I would rather have one big one that's all encompassing. Because, like I said, Google's looking for the best answer and the most complete answer. And so
Mm,
if you have a longer, really complete article or page about that topic, Google, you're going to win. You're going to
yeah.
win. Because Google's whole job, like what Google wants to do, is they want to, when someone Googles something, they they have answers right there. Someone clicks on that answer, they read, and they find the answer to what they were looking for,
Hmm.
and that's it. If they click on somewhere, if they click on my website and they're like, that's not the answer I was looking for, and then they go back to Google and retype it or click again, like that's a signal to Google that that page they just clicked on wasn't complete, and it wasn't. And so
Okay.
Google wants them one click, they win. Boom. And
Mhm.
so by having the most complete answer, you're gonna be able to signal to Google that you're the winner.
Because people stay a
And
long time on your website and they don't go back. Okay. I didn't know
mhm.
that. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Google's trying to deliver this user experience, so people use Google. Um, that makes sense. Jeez.
Yeah, otherwise they're gonna, I mean, they're not gonna go to Yahoo or Bing at the moment, but yeah, they want to be the best, and they don't want to people to have to keep going back, and so yeah.
And actually, now that you bring up other search engines, do you even worry about those? Or is Google
Um,
so dominant it doesn't matter?
I mean, I don't really do a ton on there. I definitely have like a Bing profile. Bing's good. I ran like Bing ads. They're hard to scale, but like, you know, Bing's good. Old people use Bing. Old people have equity in
Hmm.
houses and they sell at a discount. Like, yeah, I like Bing. It's harder to scale, and the whole SEO thing is different.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely want to show up for on Bing, Yahoo, anything you can.
Gotcha. Um, and then I was reading through your Facebook group, and there's like a lot of really good posts in there, and there was a couple posts mentioning Google My Business. Could you explain a little bit more about how that's different than normal Google and how people can utilize that to get some leads?
Yeah, so man, dude, there's so many people underutilizing this. Like it's insane. It's free. It's a free and it's the fastest way to get to the top of Google.
Hmm.
Google My Business is basically the little businesses that show up on the map when you Google something. So, if you Google McDonald's right now, and they'll show probably like three McDonald's and a little map and which one's closest to you. Like if you Google cash for houses, you'd want to be able to show up on that map nearby, right? And so, step one is if you don't have a Google My Business, create one. It's free. Just get in there, create one. Every website should have one. I've closed more deals from Google My Business. Like it's insane. Closed one this month from Google My Business, um, and then once you have it, if you just spend a little bit of time optimizing it, like it does not take long at all, like an hour or two. Um, you're going to be able to show up more than anyone else. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
What are some things that someone would do in that hour or two? Just maybe the top few that come to mind that would help optimize that Google My Business page.
it's literally almost as simple as fill everything out. Fill everything out. Like everything. Like, do you accept, do you have appointments? Yes or no? If you do have appointments, do you have a link where they could book appointments? Yes or no? Like, are you open on, I like to keep mine open 24 hours. I don't get why people close at 5 or 7, like motivated sellers don't get off work and then want to like sell their house. Like, if I'm ready to sell my house and I see three businesses, and I don't care if the one has 50 reviews, if it has a big old red close next to it, I'm going to call one of the other two. And so I keep mine open 24 hours. Man, just fill everything out. Pictures, there's a spot to add a video or two. And then Google has this thing called updates. Like you could actually post a little update on
Mhm.
on your Google My Business. And I've seen my views, my impressions, everything double just from doing those updates. So like just by posting a little update, it literally as simple as like a photo and a couple little sentences. And Google, they tell you what to do. Like it literally, like at the end of the week, it says, "Hey, your post is about to expire. Post more to stay ahead." Like, "Hey, your photos have been viewed 40% less than your competitors. Post more to stay ahead or to get more to be seen more." They're literally telling you what to do if you kind of read between the lines.
Mhm.
And like if you post some more videos or some more images, your images will be seen 150 times more than your competitors or similar businesses near you. That's
Mhm.
when you know you're winning. And when you could see your insights, like, look today, see how many people saw your Google My Business in the last quarter. Might be 100, it might be 5,000, and then do some of these things, and you will triple that. You'll triple that.
Wow. Yeah.
I get like anywhere from like 5 to 15 leads a month off of like one Google My Business, and I have multiple.
Wow. And so are you like those are coming to they're calling or they're texting or they come to your website and you kind of track where they come from, or how do you know where those leads are coming from?
Yeah, calls, websites. On Carrot, they have like a campaign tracking links, and so I
Hmm.
can create a campaign, call it like GMB Tacoma, and then Google My Business Tacoma, and then when the form's filled out, it's like, hey, you got a new lead from Google My Business Tacoma, and I'll do like direct number swaps and stuff. I have sites that I have like 12 Carrot sites, and I got like five of them that all I have them for is to set up Google My Businesses.
Yeah.
And the other ones are, ones that I actually do like SEO and
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you have, I know you said you have multiple sites that you also kind of SEO as well. Are you like kind of making one your main one, and then you've kind of got a couple others that you're trying to rank in the same areas, or what's your strategy there?
Yeah, like my main one is kind house buyers. That's what everyone knows me for. Seattle, Washington, basically the whole state of Washington.
Hmm.
I'm trying to show up all the different cities and locations. I have like a couple other in Washington. I still have my original one in Texas. I got two other ones in Texas, like one in South Texas, one in Central Texas,
Hmm.
and then a couple other ones that I kind of just have Google My Businesses all over the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And from a acquisition sales perspective, right? Have you changed your sales process at all with these kind of inbound hotter leads versus what you were doing before?
Um, so in full disclosure, about 5 months ago, I stopped answering my own seller leads. I started doing SEO full time for people,
Hmm.
and I pass all my leads off to like a couple guys. One guy takes like 90% of them, and the other guy takes like some of the outliers. And so like my website, I think other people should look at this like that, but a website is like an asset. Like
Hmm.
my website's an asset. I closed 3 deals last month. In the month of December, I made 35 grand, and I didn't do a thing. I didn't answer a phone call. I didn't, I just send leads to guys, and I JV them 50-50.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I've been doing that now for like the last 5 months. But before that, not necessarily changed my process. I just kind of tried to refine it as much as possible. Again, just to, less follow up, less even the initial phone calls, like as much as I could, like, not be talking to people over and over again, saying the same stuff and negotiating and trying to convince them why they should sell their house to me. Like, yeah, I would,
Yeah,
yeah, just try to buy back as much of my time as possible.
gotcha. And we were talking offline a little bit before. You mentioned you're a big fan of kind of getting the cheapest, highest quality leads, and you had a few other strategies that seem to work fairly well for you in addition to SEO. Could you share a little bit about those?
Yeah, I mean, well, one of them, like people don't do bandit signs very often, which I think is like as far as my cheapest paid cost per lead or cost per deal, bandit sign still crushes it.
Hmm.
Like it's $2,000 a deal, and like over at least $2,000, or like at least one deal for $2,000. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 deals per like
Hmm.
that saying. Like I put out 500 signs and I'm getting at least one deal. It cost me $1,000 for the signs, $1,000 to put them out.
Hmm.
Like it's a no brainer. And like for whatever reason, people a lot of them they start on bandit signs and they go away from them. I don't know why. It's like they just stop doing them for whatever reason. And
Maybe they
I
get scared when the city calls them.
yeah, they could. I don't really put them in the city. I don't. Like I could put 100 in the city of Tacoma, and I'm not going to get nearly as much exposure or calls or leads as if I put them in the outskirts. And also the city of Tacoma has code violation that have teeth. If you put them in the outskirts, the little towns, the code violate they don't even have code violation department, and they don't have any teeth. Like especially and there's less signage. Like, you're the only sign out there. People aren't taking them down as often. Like, people are driving slower. I get more leads and more deals from the signs in the outskirts than I ever do putting them in the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that the similar strategy where you put them in like a busy intersection if you put them in the outskirts, or is like how do you decide where to put them in a non-city?
All over the place. Like, not necessarily the busiest. Um, Yeah, I mean, I do put them on busy intersections, three-way stops. Um, yeah, just all over the place. I mean, I got a killer deal last year. It was like an $80,000 assignment from one that I put in the outskirts. It was like, I'm in Tacoma. There's like a bridge that goes to like the peninsula on the other side. It's kind of wooded, but I put signs out there. A lady inherited two houses or three houses on 2 acres in the city of Tacoma. Saw my sign out there, called me, got the deal, $80,000 assignment. And yeah, it's hard to find 2 acres in the city of Tacoma. And things going to
Mhm.
get developed into 15 lots. So
Yeah,
it was a killer deal.
cool. So bandit
Uh,
signs, that's a great
Bandit
strategy.
signs for sure. Like, there's there's other things that I do. Definitely, Google My Business. Like, even posting on Craigslist is super cheap, super easy. I know I don't really. I post in the services section. It's $5, but it doesn't get flagged. It stays up forever, or not forever, for 30 days. So, like, I post, once a week, every Friday. It's a $20 a month ad spend, and I close like 2 to 3 deals a year. It's nothing crazy, but it's like you can't beat the ROI on that,
Yeah.
and it's so simple. So, like that,
What's
Facebook
your
posting and
what's your strategy around anything that you post in particular, like headline to catch people, or just kind
yeah,
of?
for whatever reason, when you post in Craigslist, like in most of the areas, it comes up as like picture view, right? So on the picture, it'll be like cards or whatnot. So I put all the info on the image. Sell your house, kind house buyers, phone number, a little hook and an image, so they don't even have to click on my ad to. But for whatever
Mm,
reason, in the services section, it's defaulted in the list view. And
mhm,
so on that, so now you're just seeing the headline. So I always put emojis. So that way, even if I am like fifth, sixth, seventh down, it's, eye catching.
mhm,
And just do those two things and spend $5 a week, and you're going to close some deals. I've told multiple people this. Everyone that actually listens and does it, close deals. I helped my buddy George close his first deal just from my buddy Francis. He closed his first deal from this. It's literally so simple, but what's easy to do is also easy not to do. But
mhm.
a year from now, you wish you started today.
Yeah.
And then lastly, something that's pretty cool. I don't tell a lot of people about this, but like, have you ever? I kind of found this probate hack that a lot of people like don't even know is kind of possible. But have you ever, like, been driving for dollars, or found like a vacant house, and you like found you know found that the owner's deceased,
Mhm.
and you skip trace, you try to get a hold of people, and you just kind of hit a brick wall. Like, either you can't get a hold of someone, or they basically tell you to kick rocks.
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah, like, what do you do in that position?
Like give up, move on to something else.
Yeah, I used to do that too, and then one day I like realized, like, did you know that you could actually open up probate, become the executor, have controlling interest, and sell the property?
It's insane. So is
Yeah,
that in every state or is that only in?
I've done it in 3 states. I'm pretty
Wow.
sure. Yeah, like, I started doing it like in Washington. One day I was, cold texting, got a probate lead from texting probates. Went on the appointment, and I'm, walking, got out of my truck and walking to the house, and the guy over here is like on the other side of the street. It's like, "You Keith?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, is this the house?" He's like, "No, no, it's this one." And I'm like, "Oh, you guys, like, family?" And he's like, "No, no, I'm just known the guy for 20 years, and he didn't have any family, and his brother was the only family, and he died, and opened up probate." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, you could become the executor and not have to be family?" And I don't know. The guy kept talking, but I couldn't hear a thing he was saying for like the next 10 minutes because my brain was just spinning, thinking about this. And anyways, I ended up getting that deal. But I, yeah, reached out to my probate attorney. And, you know, in my state, you can, after 60 days from the date of death, it's like you don't have to be a family member to open up probate and become the executor. It's like first come, first serve. And
And then what happens there, like when if there's heirs, is it sold and then they get a cut and you get a cut, or how does that?
no, so as an executor, you basically have a job to do. Your job is to sell the assets and cancel out any debts. So if there's any debts, you know, they sell the assets, pay the debts, and then the rest of that money, it doesn't go to you. You're just fulfilling a duty, and then it goes into an escrow account for any heirs. And so, but as the executor, you have controlling interest and you get to decide who gets the house.
Right. So that's the benefit to
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I'm able to find deals that most people would have just, you know, walked away from because they hit a brick wall and didn't know what to do. So there's like no competition, and there's super high margins because there's no one else competing. The judges, the judges seeing my offer and that's it. I have no one
Hmm.
else bidding me up. It's yeah, they're
Wow.
gold. Yeah.
That's crazy. I'll have to look into that and see if that's possible. You haven't, have you done it in Florida yet, or?
No, I haven't, but I
Okay.
know, I'm pretty sure I've only told one guy in Florida about it, and I think he was digging in a little bit, but I don't know if he ever actually executed. But
I'll have to, yeah, I'll have to ask my
like,
probate attorney here. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it's possible. I mean, people die all the time and they don't have heirs. Like the house,
Right.
the house still something has to happen to it. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there and go to foreclosure or to tax auction or whatnot. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a way. So definitely talk to your probate attorney. Um, yeah, the county loves me because, you know, if no heirs come forward or if they can't find any heirs, the money that sits there goes to the county. You know, my probate attorney loves me because I'm like his only repeat customer. Like,
Right.
and if I do find heirs, because I've had heirs that are like, hey, they're gonna let it go because they didn't think there was equity or they just didn't want to deal with it. And I'm like, well, what if I deal with it? What if I become the executor and they let me? Like they've literally, I'm like, I'll pay for like one kind of recently, like they owed 165. I offered 175. They were going to make 10 grand.
Hmm.
And they're like, no, we're just going to let it go. I'm like, you're going to let it go? It's like 10 grand. And I'm like, well, Keith, like you got to understand there's like 7 children. So it's split up. It's like, you know, $1,200 a piece and it's just not worth it. And I'm like, well, what if I do all the work? And they're like, cause then we still got to hire a probate attorney. I'm like, what if I hire a probate attorney? I'm like, I don't know. Let me talk to the children. And so she talked to them and she called me back that night. She's like, okay. Oh, cause she was like, I don't know. Still doesn't seem worth it. And it was at like kind of the beginning of COVID. And I was
Hmm.
like, well, you know, we all just got a stimulus check, right? Like you didn't return that. Like, you know, you're telling me you're going to just say no to a $1,200 check. And she's like, yeah. And I worked the whole time too. And I was like, see, and she's like, okay, let me see. And then, so she called me back and said, okay. And, um, and so this was the beginning of COVID that it took like 6, 8 months for it to actually go through probate and everything. And the house appreciated a ton during that time. So I was actually able to give them 20 grand, which was awesome. And I still made a lot more money than I originally anticipated. But yeah. And the ones that a lot of people want to let go because they don't think there's equity. Like
Hmm.
once you're the executor and you're in a position where you could actually talk to the bank and negotiate a short sale, which is awesome.
Oh, because then you're, yeah, right. And you get that authority to do that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And I've left probate open too and like subdued these as well.
Right. Right.
So
Cool.
there's all kinds
That's
of fun
awesome.
things. But yeah, those are yeah. But that's a grind, but it's totally worth it. You know, you go and at first I found them just because I was you know, driving for dollars and I'd kind of dig in a little bit and I'd see it there. But you can you could get targeted lists like
Hmm.
deceased, you know, anything you're already skip tracing, you probably have a deceased tag if you're using like IDI data or anything. And then if you stack that with like vacant and deceased, or tax delinquent and deceased, or late on mortgage and deceased, like anything like that. And then dig in,
Yeah.
call, see it, and then just go to your county. A lot of times, like I'm able to go and look and see probate records online. So I'm
Mhm.
able to see, has probate been opened? If probate hasn't been opened, then that's when I start really digging in, start
Yeah.
calling. And if I can't get a hold of anyone or they tell me to screw off, I'm going to open up probate and become the executor.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Um, and anyone who's online, by the way, I know we got a lot of live viewers on here. So anyone, feel free to post any questions. Happy to ask them for Keith to answer. Um, one question that came to my mind, Keith, was, what is people talk about this local SEO thing versus just like SEO in general, right? Is that any different, or is that just kind of a buzzword?
Um, It really depends. Definitely. So if you're local, like hyper focused, and you just want leads in Florida, doing things like the local SEO kind of stuff will help you out, give you an edge over like a national company. Google would rather put a local company above the national guys if there's a good one, right?
Hmm.
Like, so that being said, earlier when I was like, you just need your site optimized and more backlinks than the guy in front of you. You don't need more backlinks than the national guys if you're dialed in, if that makes sense. Because a lot you can't get more backlinks than
Hmm.
OfferPad or Open Door or Zillow. Like they got a million plus backlinks,
Yep.
right? But you could still rank really well locally, by doing things like having a local Google My Business, local directories, maybe being a member of your local chamber of commerce, getting backlinks from other local, agents, title company, other like local stuff. Creating a local REI meetup on meetup.com, and then having a link to your website from the local Florida meetup.
Hmm.
These different little things to show that you're Florida will put you above a lot of other people and give you an edge.
Interesting. So if you get local people to link to your local website, that has more of an impact on your rankings locally than if
Mhm.
you were to get a link from, I don't know, some national real estate website.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're, trying to do business in Florida.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, And I know earlier we were talking a little bit offline of how you, or maybe it was online, about how you do some retargeting as well. Like, are you finding a lot of success with retargeting, or maybe for people who don't know what retargeting is, if you could share a little bit about what that is first?
Yeah, yeah. So like Facebook retargeting, is yeah, what I was like talking about there. That's my only paid marketing right now. I was able to turn off my Google pay per click a couple years ago, and so now, well, first off, retargeting is when someone goes to your website, they don't fill out the form, they don't become a lead, and you kind of grab their info, or Facebook grabs their info, and then next thing they're over on Facebook scrolling, and now you're able to be served up as an ad in front of them, because
Hmm.
it's a super hot audience. There's no hotter audience really, or like than someone that was already really interested in what you had. They just for whatever reason didn't fill out the form in that moment. Either they were busy, they're watching their kid's soccer game, it just ended, they had to put their phone away, or maybe they just didn't know if you were the guy to take care of their problem. Maybe they didn't know if you could actually do it, or if you were trustworthy or whatnot. So retargeting with some ads, I really like video testimonials, right? Like if they're
Hmm.
wondering, hey, can Keith close fast enough? I got a video testimonial saying, yeah, Keith closed in 10 days.
Hmm.
If they're like, hey, is this guy going to lowball the crap out of me? I got a video testimonial. It's like, hey, I got 3 other offers and Keith's was the highest. I'm like literally squashing objections, like why they may or
Hmm.
may not have filled out that form. I'm squashing them in my video testimonials and putting those. And that's, yeah. So that's like my only paid ad. And it's like $5 a day is what I do for my audience. And it's not high volume, but I average like $60 leads. So
Yeah. And are you, in Facebook, you have the option, or at least you used to pick like kind of conversion ads or just getting the videos in front of people. Which one do you select when you select your retargeting ads?
So for retargeting, I always just go for the conversion.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not like the cold audience where I'm trying to like find a warm audience and then bring them in like top of funnel. They're already there, right? Like
Hmm.
they're in the funnel. Now it's like I'm going straight for the kill. I want conversion, conversion, conversion.
Yeah. And then are you still showing videos retargeting to people who've because I know there's an option to exclude people who've hit like a thank you page. Are you still hitting those people just so you stay in front of them, or are you kind of once they're in your system, it goes into like maybe a different retargeting flow?
Yeah, once they filled out even the step one form, I got their name, or not even their name, but their address, phone number, and email. They don't see an ad again from me.
They don't. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, I mean, I got their contact info. I don't need to waste money showing them my face again.
Yeah.
Like some people do, as far as part of like their follow up,
Hmm.
retain, like if they're doing mass, like, but I never really did like, I didn't really like follow up. And I was really, really good at like, I'm getting such high quality leads. I didn't have to do a ton of follow up, which is awesome because
Sure.
they're ready to go. And then if like they wanted to sell, whether it was at a discount or not was a different thing. So it
Hmm.
was either they were going to sell to me at a discount or I was going to pitch a realtor referral and still try to make money off of that. So like
Yeah.
I might, I'd close 1 in 12 leads as far as like a wholesale or an investment, you know, deal, but I'll usually get like two realtor referrals out of that as well. And if you do it right, like that'll pay your for your marketing budget like month after month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you do any other like retargeting? Do any like YouTube stuff, or I know Google's got those banner ads and stuff. Do you do any of those, or?
I have. I'm not like active. I have, and it works. I recommend doing it. I turned them off like basically a couple years ago, just because again I didn't really need it. I was just getting too many leads that I knew what to do with, and I didn't want to try to kill myself trying to like call more people. And so I turned off all the paid stuff.
Yeah. And then I think one thing that you shared a little bit earlier, which I think would be cool to elaborate on, is this idea of a website as an asset and how you're kind of now just JVing a lot of stuff from there, and you're not taking the calls. You're, I guess, probably not even doing the dispositions. Like, could you talk a little bit more about how that all works?
Yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah. I love that because seriously, my website is an asset, and I think if people kind of looked at it more like that, they would understand that it's like an investment and it's going to pay dividends. Like, just like if I bought a rental, I'm going to put money, time, energy into it, and I'm going to be underwater for a while, right? Like I got money in there, and then you finally hit that break even spot, and you're like, okay, cool. And then, oh man, it's starting to cash flow, and I got appreciation. This is amazing. Let's do it again. But in the beginning, they're like, when am I going to get my money back kind of deal. For a while, I was like that. Is this SEO thing right for me? And I
Yeah.
kept on and again, I was doing it all on my own and learning. I didn't have like a Facebook group like teaching me exactly what to do. Like I did enough things wrong to know what to do right at this point. But yeah, now like my website is bringing me leads every month. I'm not putting any money into it. It paid for itself a few
Uh,
years ago. Like, and now it's, yeah, just leads continuously. Like, as soon as we started this at, 3 my time, 3:01, I got a lead. I just got another one about 20 minutes ago. Yeah. So, um, it works.
how, one objection I hear about people doing SEO is, well, it's kind of two in one, but it takes time, all right, and there's quite a bit of upfront money cost involved, which you talked about. What's a reasonable expectation for someone, maybe in a larger market, like we're in like Jacksonville, where how much money am I going to have to spend to kind of start seeing like a good ROI, and how much time should I plan on not getting that money back for, until I'm like really ranking?
Yeah, I mean there's all kinds of different ways to go about it, and it really just depends on your budget And also, so if I'm in somewhere like Jacksonville, right, and it also depends also on your website. Is it brand new or have you had it up a while? Because it's going to
Hmm.
take some extra time. Because again, you're trying to gain Google's trust, and you got to show them that you're a real legitimate company. If you just get a new URL yesterday and you're trying to start it, like you're looking at like 6 months out to like start really getting leads and closing
Mm.
deals like on a consistent basis. Um, but if you need to close deals faster or with a very minimal budget, it's all about going after lower volume but high quality words that are less competitive. Everyone and their
Mm.
mom is going after sell my house fast, we buy houses. Like, and they're not even that motivated. Like
Mm.
everyone wants to sell their house fast. I don't care
Mm.
if they're going to list it with an agent. They want to sell it fast. Like no one Googles sell my house slowly. But if they type in other things that are way less competitive, for instance, like cash, if they put cash in their phrase whatsoever, the
Mm.
conversion rate goes through the roof because now they're looking for what you have to offer, like sell my house cash, we buy houses cash, cash for my house, cash for houses, who will buy my house for cash, company that buys houses for cash, like anything with cash in it, like I'm talking like 20% conversion rate, like 1 in 5 clicks turns into a lead. So you don't need a ton of clicks to get a lead. You just need, and then those leads are hotter as well because again, they didn't just type in sell my house fast. Like no, they're looking for a cash offer. You have cash offers. You're basically exactly, yeah, you're what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's less competition, which is insane because everyone's going after we buy houses and sell my house fast. And we buy houses isn't even like that great of a keyword either. It's like
It's weird, right? It's kind of weird.
it's an investor term for the most part. Like it it shows that it's the highest search volume phrase in our area or in our whole, industry, but it's not because motivated sellers are googling we buy houses. It's because wholesalers are trying to pitch me their, listed properties, and they google we buy houses and then click on my stuff.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and I mean, I did over $150,000 in PPC, and so I got a lot of data, at least in my market. I know every market's different, but like my PPC data was like showing like my we buy houses keywords were close or like converting at 1%. My sell my house fast, those were like converting at like 7%. So I mean 1%, that's 100 clicks, 99 clicks to get that one lead, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then 7 times better with sell my house. Anything with cash was converting in 20 to 25%. So 1 in 5 clicks.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
completely different. Yeah. And so knowing that, you could optimize your budget differently for paid ads. You can optimize your site and other things differently. But we buy houses is still good to go after organically because Google looks at it as a like a parent topic for a lot of the other phrases.
Hmm.
So again, you want to have the most complete answer. So not mentioning on your page if you're trying to rank organically is not going to be showing Google that you have the most complete answer. So I definitely,
Hmm.
but I would not be spending a lot of like budget towards trying to rank for, or not trying to rank, but like a pay per click budget towards we buy houses and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know we're getting to the end here, and I always have two questions that I like to ask at the end. So, first is a fun one, which is, what is the craziest or most uncomfortable situation you've ever experienced with the seller?
The most, oh my gosh. Um, the most uncomfortable I'd ever been was going into a hoarder house, or the guy shows up. It's his house. His brother had been living there for free, and his brother is like some weird recluse in the most gnarly hoarder house. I don't know. It was very uncomfortable. They're screaming at each other through a closed door, and I'm stepping on like 2.5 feet of garbage trying to see this house. And I don't know if didn't even see the brother, but he's yelling through a closed door like very angrily, and I don't know. It was probably the one time I was actually like kind of scared for my life. Like, what is going on here? But I got the house, and
That was my next question. Did you get the
I
deal?
waited till I said I will get it at your asking price once the eviction's complete. So we waited on
Sure.
it. But yeah,
Cool, man.
yeah.
And the final one, you've been in the business now for a while, so you obviously learned a lot of things. So, if you could go back in time, give yourself one piece of advice when you were looking for your first deal, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Man, I don't know. Um, Honestly, I don't really know if I have an answer for that because I really look at that like every every mistake I made, like I don't look at it as a loss. Like, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And I wouldn't
Hmm.
be where I'm at if I didn't make those mistakes. I wouldn't. And they say what is it? A smart man learns from his mistakes, and a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. I've never always been that wise. Like I have to make the mistakes to really learn.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They
yeah,
stick more
yeah.
when
I'm,
you
I'm
make them.
super
Yeah,
grateful for where I am and what I've accomplished and how far I've came. And I honestly don't think I'd change anything. But
cool. Well, I
yeah,
guess the advice is go ahead and make the mistakes you're going to make anyway.
exactly. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to laugh at yourself and just learn from them. Like, don't beat yourself up and just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Keith, if you want to share anything, if I know you want to talk about the Facebook group, and people can kind of learn SEO for free, or how do if people want to reach out to you, how can they go about contacting you after the show?
Yeah, you could reach out to me. I'm always on, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Instagram. Yeah, we got a Facebook group, SEO meets real estate investors. We teach people how to do SEO for free. I do SEO for people as well. That people have more money than they have time, but I want people to know and be educated. There's a lot of weird stuff out there, and I don't want people, you know, being sold snake oil or not knowing what they're getting. People are like, oh yeah, someone's doing SEO for me, $1,500 a month. Well, what does that mean? Well, what is that? Like I want people to be educated. So whether you're going to buy or do your own thing, like go in there and check our Facebook group out. We give so much stuff away for free. Do live calls on Wednesdays, and just trying to again. I've done enough mistakes to know what to do right, and I'm trying to help people avoid doing all those common rookie mistakes that I made along the way. So,
Yeah, but they should make them on their own anyway.
yeah, if they want. But
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. This was awesome, man. Thanks for joining us today.
likewise, thank you so much, Mike.